We'll just wait till I'll start the meeting and then maybe we'll go through our existing items and then we'll get you to do that. Make sense?
Yeah, no rush. Whatever works best.
Okay, so welcome to the Node.js Next 10 team meeting for, I guess it's February 5th, 2025. Sorry for a little bit of the late start. I had some computer issues there. So we'll follow our agenda, which was in issue number 324 in the repo. Before we jump into that, does anybody have any announcements they'd like to share? Okay, if not, I will go down to the ambassador program. I don't think we have too much to discuss on that this week. We did onboard our second ambassador, and I think they were going to get together and chat and stuff like that, but I haven't heard anything on that front. So really, like, I think it's just like give them some time to get things going, and then maybe we can see if they, get some feedback from them, that kind of stuff. In terms of the follow-on from the survey, I think that's kind of like a to-do, but I don't think we've done anything yet on that one, unless anybody else has any updates on that. So I'm just going to say no update this week. And then the last one is the corporate usage stories. And that one in particular, I think, at least I'm kind of waiting before looking at that to get the ambassador program ramped up, and then that might be a next one. And if somebody else has some time to start moving that forward, that would be great as well. But so I don't think there's an update on that one either.
I will try to spend some time for the next meeting to work on that one.
Okay, that'd be great. Like, I guess even, if you put together like what it would look like or some shape and stuff. Okay, so we can say Jean's gonna take a look. Perfect. And that takes us actually to the end of what was on the agenda, but I know we have Zach here who's been looking at some of the data from the survey. So I think would be a good time to get, sounds like you can give us a little bit of an update.
Yeah, sure. Thanks again for letting me have access to the survey data. So I was able to join the 2023 and 2024 data sets just to really compare specific responses by year the survey was taken, just to see if there's been any, just to track the changes between 2023 and 2024 in user experience. So I went ahead and did this for the questions that appeared on both surveys. I'll just give a brief summary of what I found. Well, since like almost all the responses were categorical, the comparisons I did were mostly restricted to contingency tables and chi-squared analysis. And just a couple like interesting things I thought I found that I found throughout, just like in terms of like the architecture that survey respondents used to run Node.js. The proportion who used ARM increased quite significantly between 2023 and 2024. It went from like 6.4% to almost like 1 in 4 users. And there were some interesting findings just with country of residence for survey respondents. For the question regarding country of residence that all survey respondents answered, there were a lot of differences between 2023 and 2024. Just like huge increases in some countries and just like other countries that weren't represented at all the following year. Do you know like how the survey was distributed?
I think we would mostly social. And I think for 2023, it was something that stood out to us that like we had less North American participation than we would have expected. Like or maybe it was more like there was just a stronger representation from Europe. I don't know if that's what you're referring to or if it's something else.
Yeah, I was going to get to that too as well. Yeah, I did a separate breakdown. I compiled everything, survey respondents, like, and grouped them into like just continents. And yeah, it was very Europe heavy. Like over half of survey takers were within Europe for both 2023 and 2024.
Okay.
there was a huge increase in representation from North America in 2024. Also a bit in Asia as well. But yeah, for 2023, yeah, like almost 60% of survey takers were based in Europe. But just broken down by country, like for 2023, like by far the respondents from Ukraine, they were the biggest group of survey takers.
Okay.
I mean, they were still, Ukraine was still in the top 15 countries that responded, but it was nowhere near as high
Hmm.
in 2024. There's a lot of increase in South American participation too in 2024, especially in Brazil and Argentina.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, like I don't know that we did anything too substantially different in the years. I don't know, Jean, if anything comes to mind to you or
Nothing really special on my side from those points. No, yeah.
we did have a significant, much higher I think, it was like 80% bigger in 2024. So
Yeah.
we managed to get out to more people in 2024, but
yeah,
Do we
it was
advertise it?
roughly, I think, after cleaning the data, yeah, I think it was roughly like almost twice as many respondents for 2024. It was quite a bit larger.
Yeah.
Do we advertise it on the Node website?
I believe we did.
So I
So
remember, so it was heavy on Twitter X. Some other people, I think, shared it on LinkedIn. Also retweeted and posted by the OpenJS account, if I remember correctly.
Mhm.
For the website, I don't remember if we had that on the website though.
we might be able to figure that out. Node.js, nodejs.org. And then if I just search in there on maybe even pull requests on survey. Okay, so I can see, well, this is no 2021, so that doesn't really answer that question.
I think we wanted to have it on the Node.js website, but because they were working on a new version, I think we had a discussion on do we want to have that annually for the next time, but I don't think we had it.
Okay, that's definitely something we should do, but yeah, if we didn't,
Yep.
I can't easily find that in terms of like I just did a quick search on survey. Probably could do a better job of looking, but like I don't see a PR that says like add the survey to the banner or anything.
Well, the new site is done, so we can do it this time.
Yep.
And I know we have the banner technology.
Yeah, exactly. We can put it in one and say like run this for weeks and then it goes away. So So any other interesting things from the data or like
Yeah. I'm still digging into a couple things. Another thing that jumped out, the question for which role best reflects the respondents' role regarding Node.js. I mean, a vast majority was application developers for both years. The number of direct end users doubled, or sorry, not number, the proportion of direct end users doubled between 2023 and 2024.
okay.
So yeah, that really stood out. Like all the other roles pretty much stayed the same. And I did a separate thematic analysis on the final question in the 2024 survey. Do you encounter any recurring issues when using Node.js that you would like to share? The question wasn't in the 2023 survey, so I wasn't able to get any insight from there. But in a nutshell, what I found after mapping just all the different user responses, complaints, and challenges, Request for built-in TypeScript support was by far the largest overall issue. Like over 1 in 6 survey takers identified this specifically as a challenge. I understand that this has already been resolved since the survey was distributed last spring. So that won't be an issue reported going forward, I don't think.
Yeah, that's a good example of like that, I think helped trigger, Marco to say, hey, let's do something. Something happened. And so.
What else? Challenges with version managing was another recurring theme for this survey item. I understand that the migrations team has really improved version managing as well since the survey was completed last year. So
We're working on it.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think that one's still like I think there's a bunch of aspects about that. So yeah, I think you've got Jacob's working on one path for that, but I think there's also even just like how you install your node versions and package managers and stuff it's probably related to that.
What like lack of ESM. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
If I remember correctly, there was quite a few comments about people saying that they wanted new features, but they didn't want to deal with the breaking changes of updates. I think that was quite a proportion of the people complaining about or mentioning version management. Am I remembering that right, Zach?
Yeah.
So that's why we mentioned the userland migration thing.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So that because they sort of come together, or like I would say like even in the project, it's the least that they come together because we do backport a lot of things to previous LTS lines. So like it's already almost as good as you can get from that perspective, other than things like what you're talking about to make it easier to absorb those changes that are there, right?
Cool. Sorry, continue, Zach.
Oh, sure. Yeah, just so I'm just like thinking out loud. I'm just looking at the thematic analysis on a separate tab right now. Yeah, like too slow, too sluggish was another common complaint. Like 6% of survey, or not survey takers, but people who responded. Only 308 people who took the survey responded to this question, so it is quite a small like subsample.
It was like 6% of 300 responses.
Yeah, so I'm looking at like 6% of 6%, like right now, just in terms of like things that are specifically pointed out for this question. And lack of ESM support was also cited by I think about 20 users. ESM/CJS being one of the bigger challenges right now. And excessive memory usage and heap size control. But that's pretty much, yeah, in a nutshell, it's pretty much everything I've compiled. Like I can clean up my like my pandas Jupyter notebook, and I've been doing different graphs and data visualizations as well. I can share those in the GitHub channel once I have them cleaned up a bit more, if you'd want me to post them.
Yeah, and as long as there's nothing like, there should be no sensitive data there, right? So I think it would be good to PR that into the repo somewhere. Maybe like we already have a directory for the surveys. So if you could PR in a doc or whatever it is that makes sense to PR in to say like, and here's the analysis of the result, some additional analysis of the results, that would be great.
Yeah, in the same folder with the other PDF.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the best place because then, if you go to look at the survey, you find the survey and you can find the extra analysis too.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, we'll do.
The only other thing I'd say is like, do you have any suggestions for next year? Because this year I'll say, because that should be something top of our list right now.
Oh, sure. Yeah, actually, I mentioned this I opened another issue about this.
Okay.
I mentioned just a few other things. Just comparing the two surveys, it was a little difficult because a lot of the same questions that appear on both surveys, like they'd be open-ended response on one survey, but closed-ended multiple choice on the other one. So just cleaning and just getting it together in a state where I could make direct comparisons was more of a challenge. There were some questions where the response categories provided, they weren't mutually exclusive. Like a lot of the questions about like what organization do you work for, like along that line, some of the responses would be like big tech or like large organ. Let me just bring it up. Yeah, you'd have big tech as one option, or company as another, or startup as another, but like these aren't like mutually exclusive. And it was difficult to categorize, to really parse that out more. And you had like one category being university, but then people would write in under the other category, like they were in academia, if they weren't technically in a university. So just maybe
Right.
expand category to just be like overall academia, or might be helpful going forward.
Yeah, we definitely like tried to tweak the 2024 one based on some feedback, but that of course then makes it harder to compare to the previous ones.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the 2024 survey was much improved. Yeah, it didn't take as long to clean the 2024 as it did the 2023. You'll have to go back. Yeah, I have a few more points raised in like the issue. I think it's the third most recent issue on the next 10 years issue page. There are a few more points in there. I can't remember off the top of my head. I just closed the tab.
I think that does remind me, we probably, I don't know, Jean, if you were looking at it, but we should have an issue that covers the next survey, because we want to get that done, right? Go ahead.
So I have a pull request that should be opened today or tomorrow with a list of questions. I already took some changes that we noted when we reviewed the 2024 survey. So for example, the one you just said, Zach, I remember that I changed university to academia, and in parentheses it was school, university, ... something like that, to try to smooth. So I will tag you all in the PR.
Okay.
Okay.
So you're going to be PRing in like the list of questions and so forth?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
oh yeah, sorry. One other thing I wanted to bring up. I just opened up the issue I mentioned that I opened. Just because I mentioned earlier that almost all the questions were like it was all string, it was all categorical data. So a lot of the analysis was restricted to contingency tables, chi-squared. If it would be possible, maybe in the next survey, to build in like options along like a Likert scale or some ordinal scale where responses follow a defined spectrum, like from like very easy to very difficult, or like, you know, this is a low priority of mine, like all the way to like a high priority. Just when you track responses like that, there's just more options that open up in terms of analyzing it.
So yeah, I mean, I was going to say, what do you mean by some of those? But I think you explained it a little bit. But yeah, if you can actually make suggestions on the PR, say like, hey, it would help if we'll get better answers if we categorize this as like what you just said, right? Then we can. Sounds good. So Jean, the one thing that I think would be good, like, because it sounds like some of the PRs you're going to open are like specifically to like the questions and stuff. It might be good for us to have an issue which is tagged for the agenda that just says the survey and the schedule that we want to follow. So if you can open that, okay, great. That way, like it'll show up on our agenda and make sure, because I like that makes sure we don't forget it the next time we get together. And okay. Because I think I'm hoping by the next time you'll have those PRs open, we'll have those questions, and then we probably want to go to the foundation staff and just say, you know, can we get the same help as last year, which I think was fairly light touch, but we did use their SurveyMonkey account, I think, because it gave us more flexibility than like a free one or something like that. Okay, so Jean will open tracking issue as well. Anything else before we go to some of the other topics about the survey? Okay, if not, then I think I see, Jacob, you added the DI mentoring workshop. So go
Oh
ahead.
yeah. So that's gotten like very positive community support in within Amsterdam. Um, yeah, one of the local like educational institutions are sending a mentor. Um, like a local AI/data firm heard about it, and they are very excited to send some people as well. So far, very promising. Hopefully more to come. Jean and Antoine are coming over.
That's great.
Yep.
The only thought I just had, and I don't
Mhm,
know what, if anything, we can do is like, great, we have a good, successful event. People are
mhm.
excited. How do we like bridge that into if there's people excited to get back in the project or something, how do we follow that up, right? I don't know if you have any ideas already on that front.
Like from the event, people are like, "Oh, I want to participate in Node or something else."
Well, exactly. Like usually what I think we've seen like in our code and learns, you got a large
Mhm,
number of people. Some people are like, hey, great, got my first PR or something, but then that's kind of it. And then there's a smaller number of people who are like, whoa, this was really, opened my eyes.
mhm.
How do I get more involved? And like how do we kind of support those people? Or is there something we can do, should do, can do?
I think it would be great if we had um, like a more formal mentorship program within Node. So like once we have contributors, like someone who's actively contributing, and then they want to get deeper involved, then more of a
Yeah.
buddy system. So like I'm mentoring Augusta and Carlos, uh, who've um, who've been contributing more and more now. Like one of the things that they really um, like basically the first question is like what can I do? So there is the good first issue kind of thing, but that like they want something that's going to give them a good overview of something and also have impact. So and like if they have a mentor or a buddy that they can ask questions, they can do something that's like a
Yeah.
little bit more difficult, and that seems to be what people want. So if we had something like that we could funnel these people into, rather than be like, here is the documentation, good luck.
Right. Yeah, and so Jean's got his hands up. I'll let you go
No,
first.
no, I think I was going to say what you were maybe going to
Sure.
say.
Yeah, we'll go ahead.
In 2019, there was a mentorship program, or 2018, something like that,
Mhm,
from memory in a Node.js project where we tried to bring people contributing and to like pair them with someone that at some time. I don't remember the number. A few people went through, but I think, Michael, I think you followed that way more than me. Like,
Yeah, like there's been two or three different attempts and like different experiments. Um, and we don't have one now because like we couldn't get them to work. There
mhm,
was like more of a general one just trying to pair people, but like that didn't work, I think, because personally, I think it's because like people will show interest, but
mhm,
there's you really need to find a couple people who are really gonna do something, right? Versus the I'm kind of interested if tell me what to do, right? It's more like you want to find the people who are like, I'm gonna do something. And then you help them, you enable those people, right? Because it is a bar, like there is a
mhm,
bar, and I don't think we can do anything to change the bar. So it's not easy to become a contributor. You
mhm.
really got to work at it. So it's got to be like the general, like, hey, we'll take anybody in and try and give them a mentor. Like we don't have enough mentors, and it's not enough of a payback that the mentors see. Like so, we need to. So that's then there was a second iteration where it was much more focused. The mentoring team
Mhm.
actually like met with people, tried to find a match with the working groups And for the Node add-on API team, that actually worked pretty well. They identified a couple people who came and joined, contributed significantly. But again, that was a significant effort for them because like people would have to go through, filter, um, but along those lines, like that's why I was kind of thinking, like in this case, if you meet a couple people who you think are like the stars who are really like go-getters, then maybe we can find like maybe it's like instead of formal, you can say, hey, there was a couple people who really stood out here. Anybody willing to mentor them a bit, right? And maybe that's
Yeah.
something we can try out here. Because like the formal one where it's like, hey, you get a wide number of things, a wide number of people. We didn't figure out how to make it move. If somebody else has, or I mean, I wasn't actually involved, but the other people didn't. We didn't, as a group project, figure out how to make that work. But it's still like, I don't know. I've said a lot, but I'm not sure it's that useful. Other than like we tried a few times. My suggestion this time would be like for the people there, if you see the people you think really are gonna like jump in and invest. Like for me, it'd be like, you can't spend an hour a week. You probably need to be saying like, hey, I'm willing to spend 4 hours or more every week for 5 months or something. Some bar where you think they really are willing to jump in. Then it's like, hey, let's see if we can find some collaborators willing to mentor them or be their buddy, basically, right?
Yeah,
And
like I have multiple success stories in Node of people who are now very consistent contributors.
yeah,
Heck, one of them is now a TSC member.
yep,
So like I know it can, like people that I've mentored. So I know it can work.
yep. Yeah, no, it definitely can work. But I think my personal opinion is that it will work for the people who are like they just need that buddy versus they need like they could probably get anyway. Yeah. I see. Sorry. Yeah, I thought John had his hand up.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think can be great. And some people, like in the previous mentorship program, some people didn't had 4 5 hour a week to dedicate. But maybe we can have two streams where some people may have that time available to them, but some other people may also be able to spend maybe 1 hour from time to time, just working on improving documentation or any kind of stuff that would help new people to work on Node.js or do something part of Node.js. So, because that's also an issue if you are new to the project, finding where to work on is quite hard. Like we all discuss the Flaky test, but if you are first time comer on the repository itself, you're like, okay, what can I do? And you are like, I don't have information. There is no good first issue or stuff like that. So I think the two stream can be worked in parallel almost.
They can. It's just the volunteers, right? Like, and finding enough volunteers and so you'll probably get more people saying, yeah, I want to do the 1 hour a week than the 4 or 5 hours a week. And maybe I would try and prioritize finding the buddies for the people who are going to spend a bit more time, just because otherwise, you can only mentor so many people, right? I think is what we've seen is the project. The more we can do, the better. Is definitely true. It's just realistically what we've seen happen is the challenge.
Is there anything that we can like, so we've sort of like talked about some ideas and stuff, but is there anything like a next step we can do with this? Like, I don't know, like maybe we can create a repository or a group or something that people can add themselves to a team and specify um, the kind of mentorship, and like they can add and remove themselves and like switch back and forth between the 1 hour versus 4 hour kind of thing. Um, and then when people want to get mentored, they can open up an issue or something in that repository or discussion to say like, hi.
Yeah, I think my worry is that like there'll be silence. right? Like it's not like
Mm.
I worry about like setting any expectation that you're going to get help and mentoring just because like, you know, through the that's exactly what the previous programs were trying to do is like, okay,
Mhm.
let's find the people, let's find the mentors. And I think we got lots of people. We just never found the mentor. So like as a next concrete action, I would say for the people who are at this event, if
Mhm.
you could find the person who is like the top candidate to be a longer term contributor.
Mhm.
And then let's see if we can put a call out to say, okay, there's, you know, we did this event. This person looks like
Mhm.
a really good candidate. Are there any people willing to mentor, right? Like,
Mhm.
and
Sure.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
like
that
my
that
that's a
could work for
concrete
this.
thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, exactly. Like, and I don't like I think we could do other things around the mentorship, but like it's more around like, are we gonna I would focus on can you build a list of mentors first,
Hmm. Well,
right?
that's
Like, because
sort of what I was doing,
yeah.
thinking with this repository, because people can sign up. And then if you have, like maybe we have some kind of, I don't know, org chart kind of thing of like, I don't know, we have these 5 people that have signed up to mentor. And then if we need, like, we don't know what their capacity is, like maybe they do or don't have mentees. So if we have this org chart, we can see, oh, okay, Jacob is mentoring these 3 people. I don't know, uh, Jane is
Yeah.
mentoring too. And then like we can see the open slots. So if someone like raises their hand to say like I need a mentor, we can quickly look at that and say like, sorry, there are no mentors available at the moment. And then as they free up, as like capacity frees up, then we can respond back and say like, hey, this person is available, something like that. But that's a more down the road.
Yeah, it does make me think there are some tools that manage mentorship.
Hmm.
And actually they have like the one that's currently in process within Red Hat. It gives like you can apply.
Hmm.
Yeah, although that one I'm not sure would like there's kind of like the two things. One, you can identify the people who want mentorship, but then you got to
Hmm.
sell the mentors on the people as well, right? If you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, I was very pleasantly surprised with the response to this DEI workshop. I thought it was going to be more challenging to get mentors, but like as people hear about it, they're like, "Oh, can I sign up?" And then they do.
Yeah, no,
So
I
it's like,
think that's like that's a
okay,
good, but that's a concrete like you making a commitment for one like once at a time, good event.
true.
That's different than, you know, saying, well, okay, I'm going to meet with somebody every week. And
Hmm.
I I think like I think we should do everything we can. My
Hmm.
only thing just based on the past efforts is like the hard part is the mentors,
Okay.
right? Like once it's yeah, the hard part is the mentors, and then so like I would if I was trying to push it forward, I would like assume I'm just going to have a small number of mentors, and therefore I want to find the small number of people who are most likely to benefit from that. It's kind of the
Yeah.
but
Okay. Yeah. Fair. Fair.
but it's sort of like it's whatever. The more we can do, the better. It just comes down to like how we can get the mentors and stuff like that.
Maybe it could be like an invite kind of thing. So like, I Carlos was yeah, Carlos had given a presentation at NodeConf, and I was chatting to him there, and I had seen multiple pull requests from him before, so
Right.
that's why I offered.
Yep.
But maybe if we see, and then the similar thing happened with Api. I saw several pull requests and like very eagerness from them. So like I posted in, I forget, one of our
Yep.
private Slack channels, and I was like, hey, I think this person could use some mentoring. Like, we don't want them to fall away. So maybe we can use that sort of like invite referral system.
Yeah, that aligns with kind of like my thinking is that like it'd be really nice that once people have basically shown that they're trying in the project and
Hmm.
they've like already made a few and you're like, hey, wait a sec, this is a really good candidate.
Yeah.
You know, they're not at zero saying like, hey, how do I get involved? They already figured out something, so they already put a bunch of effort in. Then you say like, okay, this is a good candidate, and you go from there. So yeah, you're sort of
Yeah.
like, could be a formal
Collaborator
program,
path.
but it would be like they're nominated based on from other collaborators, right? Like other collaborators have seen them and say like, I think we
Yeah.
should nominate this person as a good candidate.
Yeah.
And that, yeah, that would be a good, I think makes sense to me for sure.
Okay, cool.
And then yeah, like yeah, because sounds like a sounds good. So that yeah, again, if you know, if you're happy to like sort of separate from this event, sort of want to say like, okay, here's a proposal of what we could do, that makes sense. And I'd say
Yes.
like out of this event, if you came out with here's a couple of candidates, then even just informally we could see like, hey, if there's mentors, right? You know, if you're like, hey, there's somebody who's really great, but I'm already mentoring 3 people, right? Then the call to other people, versus like, you know, somebody who's unknown, right? I think it'll
Yeah.
be easier.
Okay, cool. Sorry, did that make it into the notes? I think I closed the document or I've lost the window.
So I just put some good discussion. So I think goal is to identify 1 or 2 great candidates
Oh,
from
here
the
we are.
session and look for mentors one, right? And then longer term, yeah, if you want a longer term
Yeah.
solution, just put that in as well. It's gonna, yeah, invite system. Yeah, like even a private repo where like, you know, we've done for some of the other ones, like people can privately nominate, and then, you know, whether you have a pool of mentors or not listed there, but like you don't necessarily need that. It could be like here's the privately nominated people, and then it's like a call out to everybody to say, hey, like here's the person, here's why we think they're great. Anybody who'd volunteer to mentor them.
Okay, cool. Need way to track. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and like I think it's as long as we don't set the like some of the other programs set an expectation for the people they get mentored. If it's more of an internal private thing, then I think it's less important to line up the mentors in advance. It's good to prime people that we
Yeah.
want mentors, but the ad hoc after the fact is not as big a concern, right? Because you can say, here's a great person, anybody, right? Versus having to make sure you've got somebody in advance, because they don't necessarily, you know, we don't need to tell them they're nominated until we found somebody, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, we should also maybe check that they are interested in being
Well, yeah, but it's like you could do the initial like here's the person, I think they're great, anybody who'd be willing, then you could go back to them and say I just like our past ones, I think we've set some hope for people and then it didn't come through, and that's kind of one of my concerns, right?
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Okay, we got 3 minutes, so I'm just gonna bump to the next one, which is upcoming sessions for the Collaborator Summit in April. You know, I think the CFP is kind of open, so we should probably generate a list of sessions that we want to submit. We're probably out of time for now, but I don't think we have an issue for that. So I'll create an issue, which is like, okay, our, you know, next 10 submissions might be a good candidate, like, you know, a mentoring program. Again, it's a good time to talk about stuff like that. But yeah, so think about those, add them to the um to the agenda item, and then hopefully like next week or next time we get together we can like close on a set and have people who are volunteered to submit those.
Okay, cool.
Okay, and Anything else we should chat before we close out for today? If not, thanks a lot for your
That's it.
time, and we'll see you all next time.
Cool.
Okay, thanks. Bye.